Good evening and welcome to Wethersfield Live with your host, Rick Gary and Mary Beth Maluccio. Tonight's topic, the Ray Beller Music Scholarship All-Star Jam. And now, live from Studio 1A in Wethersfield Community Television, it's Rick Gary and Mary Beth Maluccio.
Good evening and welcome to Wethersfield Live. I'm Rick Gary and there is no Mary Beth Maluccio tonight. As you can see, Mary Beth did not make it tonight, so you've got just me. And we actually aren't even live. So actually the whole thing's a big sham. But that's okay. You'll watch us anyway. Tonight we're pre-taping the program to talk about an upcoming event, a charity event, and we will be replaying this for a few weeks, so hopefully you get a lot of people involved or interested in this event. We're going to be talking about the Ray Beller Music Scholarship and the All-Star Jam, which will raise money for that scholarship fund. And I have two guests with me tonight who are going to help me talk about this because I really don't know a lot about it because I'm just a host. And with me tonight are Mike Hayden, who is the president of the Music Scholarship Foundation, correct?
Correct.
And Art Benson from Dynamic Percussion.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Otherwise, it's just me, and that gets really boring. You're here to talk about, why don't we start with, because a lot of people probably don't know, maybe they do, who Ray Beller is.
Sure.
And maybe explain a little bit about that.
But before we do that, can I just say, first of all, thank you so much for coming down here and allowing us to do this. And the publicity is going to be fantastic for us, and we really appreciate you doing that. And out of appreciation, we thought we'd bring you a copy of our All-Star Band T-shirt, just for you. We have one for Mary Beth too.
That is
Mary
awesome.
Beth. This is the logo of the Ray Beller All-Star Jam T-shirt.
It's fantastic.
And we'll talk about the event. We'll talk about Ray Beller, but that's for you. Thank
I
you
appreciate
so much
that. Well, thank you
for coming down tonight.
I didn't know I was going to get gifts. This is great. Well, have fun.
Good
I
night.
got to stay. No, really, I'd like to hear more about this. You told me a little bit about it before the show, and it sounds fantastic. So if you could kind of fill us in about Ray Beller.
Ray Beller was a big band musician from the 30s and the 40s. How I got to know him and how Art got to know him was that he owned a music store in Manchester since 1954, Beller's Music in Manchester. It was on Main Street for years and years and years. That's where people of my age and Art's age had done their first lessons, bought their Beatles records there and every other record, bought their first instruments there. Everything musical was at Ray Beller's. And in fact, the store is still in Manchester. It's been since resold, but the name Beller's is still there. And this scholarship is in honor of Ray Beller. Ray passed away a few years back, and tons and tons of musicians, quite a legacy of people going through there that wanted to pay homage to Ray and give a little something back to the community in his honor. Those
were probably, if you think about, a lot of people think of music stores today, and there are a lot of the chain music stores out there now, like everything.
Yeah.
Everything seems to chain, the big chains have bought out a lot of things.
Right.
The music stores back then were really a gathering place.
They truly were. Well, Art's store is very much like that. Art has Dynamic Percussion on Main Street in Manchester.
Okay.
And Art, by the way, Art's store has been number one in the Advocates poll for something like 15 years in a row. So it is the number one drum store in all of the Eastern Coast. In the world, yes.
I'm just getting a note that your mic's not on. It might be that he hasn't said anything yet. Oh. It's on? Your mic is not on, he's saying.
It is not on.
Could you check his microphone there?
Is it on now?
I'm usually not on. So
Okay. Well, I thought it was because you hadn't said anything.
because
all the way
it
up?
says off.
There you go. How's
And
that?
now,
That works
are we
so
working?
much better.
Oh.
All right. So
I didn't see the red light go on.
could you repeat everything
I thought
you
this-
hadn't said yet?
Let's rewind.
I thought it was just a take.
So you guys actually, so this is all about Ray Beller and the music store.
Yep.
And
What about the gathering place? You're saying,
Yes,
and Art's
it's a
store
gathering
is very much like that now.
Yep.
Yeah.
you get a lot of young musicians and the kids starting out.
We have a very thriving drum store, which we're kind of unique with, and when we cater to the people the same way Ray did, to all levels and all situations. With we do strictly drums and percussion, where Ray did all musical instruments.
Right.
And my situation in Manchester now is unique because I grew up on Main Street in Manchester. My dad and my grandfather both had businesses on Main Street in Manchester, so I'm third generation for businesses there in my family. And I literally grew up in Ray's store from 1954, from the very beginning. My dad's store was located very close to his. I used to come down from Center School and walk down to my dad's store to get a ride home from school because my mom never had her driver's license.
Right.
And where did I hang out?
Ray.
It was Ray Beller's. So I got to know Ray very early on, very young, and spent a lot of hours and a lot of money with records and instruments and what have you. And Ray was a very, very dear friend, mentor. He's probably one of the reasons I'm sitting here now and doing what I'm doing in my business, because it was that close an association. So
That was generations too, from Art's generation on to the next generation. It's probably 3 or 4 generations of musicians. People that I taught. I'm a drummer as well, a musician and music teacher in
play
Manchester.
drums?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
So we have 2 drummers.
Yes.
That's quite a band.
That's right.
I don't play anything, so.
So those generations, at Ray Store were just phenomenal to see.
That's fantastic. So now you decided to start a scholarship fund
Yes,
in honor of Ray. And obviously with a scholarship fund, you need to raise money.
we do.
Otherwise it's not much of a...
Yeah, well, we thought primarily it's for the scholarship, obviously.
Sure.
But one of the other major things about this is when Beller's was sold, we kind of lost. Art's store is of course a gathering place for primarily drummers, although a lot of other musicians go in there to see Art and hang out. But Ray's store, like Art said, was for musicians. They were for people, record lovers, people taking lessons, all those things. So now there was no place really for everyone to go and hang out, particularly around holiday times.
Sure.
That was a big deal. Around Thanksgiving, around Christmas time, you head for Beller's, everyone pop a couple beers and hang out. And
Everybody knew that everybody
Did
else
they?
was going to be
I
there.
never knew.
everybody knew. We didn't tell Art, but everybody went there to hang out.
After Art left, everyone hung
yeah,
out.
yeah, we had a good time after. But then it was gone. So
Right.
and honestly, one Thanksgiving, I went down there after the place had been sold, and I went in and here's the new owner, and I looked around, and I wasn't told that Mike Beller didn't tell me that they had just finalized the deal, and I went in there and said, "Where's Mike? What's going on?" None of the old guys are there. And I said, "Wow, how sad this is. First time since I can remember, 30 years."
But it wasn't.
So and it wasn't like that. So I thought to myself, how can we get everyone together, and maybe once a year or so, and at the same time maybe make something good come out of it. So the
Sure.
idea of the GM kind of came out, and I called some great people that volunteered their time immediately, and people that worked there, people that taught there, people that again like me that took
Sure.
lessons or bought their records or whatever.
and again, grew up there too.
And
So,
grew up
so
there.
many
Right.
over the years. I generated 2 bands that were very, very prominent bands in the Connecticut area back in the 60s through the 70s, and grew up in everybody generated from Ray Beller's
Ray Beller's.
music at that time. And all the instruments were associated there, and
Sure.
some lifetime friends. And we're back doing that again in this situation, which has been a great organized thing that Mike has taken the time to do. And
Well, we have
been fun.
We have a great committee of people. We're going to see some pictures in a little while of some of the people that have been involved.
Associated with this, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see, like I said, because of there's more and more chain stores and less mom and pops, if you will.
Absolutely.
You're going to see less and less of that because chain stores, there are 16-year-old kids working there. Most of the time, it's not even an owner in there.
Right, the turnover there is
right.
unbelievable.
So
yeah,
you
sure.
never have those relationships.
there's no focus on
No.
what Ray generated
Right.
that we grew up with, and
Right.
that's the big difference today.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
no personality.
Right. Well, that's the thing, with a mom and pop, it's the personality. A lot of times, that's why that's why you're going there. You're going there for the person in there.
Absolutely.
And you can buy a bag of potato chips anywhere, but can you buy them from this guy or that guy?
And the cool thing about Ray is that you knew where he came from. He was an Indiana U grad, first of all, in music, and having played with Benny Goodman and Glenn Gray and Ray McKinley,
Right.
Woody
Get the
Herman.
credentials.
Woody Herman, he played with everybody, and he just
He looked like Woody Herman.
He did, actually. You're right. But he knew everybody, and to get advice from someone like that was
Sure.
was gold.
That's fantastic. They say you have some pictures.
I think we do. We do.
And these are pictures of the jam?
This is the jam from last year. By the way, the jam's at the Hungry Tiger in
Now, why don't we talk a
Manchester.
little bit about the jam? While
Sure.
that sets that up, let's just talk about the jam a
Sure.
little bit. Exactly what is the All-Star Jam?
The All-Star Jam is an event. We hold it, right now it's being held in the spring, every spring, around April. We try to get it between all the holidays that happen about that time. and it's at the Hungry Tiger, and a big shout out to Don Denley that just every year he allows us to use the Hungry Tiger. He gives us the place, he lets us use the PA system, and we charge at the door, and he just lets us do that. So, and he puts up the food for us, and it's been great. It's going to be Sunday, April 13th. Doors will open at 12 o'clock noon. At 12:30, the first featured act will be the Cats and Jammers Big Band.
Yep.
It's a 15-piece band playing 30s and 40s music in homage to Ray Beller in his era.
Okay.
And that'll be for about a half hour, 40 minutes. And after that, we'll start the jam. Primarily this year, we have a lot of bands. And another great thing about this jam is that so many of the musicians of the age and new kids are getting together for reunion bands. The guys that played together 20 years ago, they haven't played together in years and years and years. All of a sudden, they're up on stage playing together again, and it's phenomenal. So we're trying to do a lot of bands, but we'll take single acts as well, and we have a rhythm section that you can play with. We have all the backline equipment, meaning all the amplifiers, the drums provided by Dynamic Percussion, keyboards. Paul Molinari has provided the keyboards for us. Amplifiers, like I said, PA, everything's there. Don't need it.
So if people want to come down, if I'm a drummer or a keyboard player, I
Yep.
can come down. If I feel like jamming with the crowd,
Well, we'll set you up with people. You know, if you're a single act and
Right.
you want to have people to play
Sure.
with, there'll be other musicians there that we can set you up with.
but then you do have these bands coming down.
Yes.
And of course, the beauty of it is they don't have to bring all their equipment.
They don't have to bring a thing.
Come in and have some fun and,
Right, just come
and
in
enjoy
and-
for a good cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I think just a generation of people last year was so phenomenal because I saw people that I hadn't seen in 10 years.
Right.
And people who came out of the woodwork to come down and do the same. We had so much fun. It was just a great thing to get together with these people again.
Right.
And now they can't wait for this to happen again.
Right.
You could, yeah, you could show the picture. Here's the first one, showing the first picture. That's the committee of, I think the most wanted is the one in the back. No, the one in the front's the most wanted. Going from left to right, that's Walter Lemus. He's a bass player from Manchester, had taken lessons at Bellers. I think actually lived near Ray too. I've known Ray for years and years. That's myself in the center there. Mike Beller's on the far right. Mike is Ray's son.
Okay.
And going just behind Walter there on the left-hand side with the glasses, that's Jeff Keithline. Jeff is also a bass player, and he had worked at Bellers as well. Walter had played in a bunch of bands in the Manchester area. Jeff Keithline, a bunch of bands in the area, including Silverado, among others. And then behind Mike Beller, a guy by the name of Gordy Patterson. Gordy and I worked together on the Podunk Bluegrass Music Festival in East Hartford, which is something that we had put together. And Gordy's an attorney, by the way, and helps us out with all of our legal stuff. It's just been wonderful to us. Behind Gordy is a guy by the name of Jim Rosati, another bass player. Too many bass players. Look, you notice that?
Where's all the drummers?
Way too many.
They're sitting here.
Yes, yeah. Jimmy Rosati, another wonderful guy, Manchester guy. He's our IT guy. He does all our computer work, sends all our stuff out. And last but certainly not least, in the back is Dennis Sheridan. Dennis is from Bolton. He also worked at Bellers. Guitar player extraordinaire, fiddle player, mandolin player, had a band called Bolton Notch and a bunch of other country bands. Fantastic player. Fantastic player. This is Big Ed Bradley. Guys from Manchester know Ed. In fact, the whole region, I think, knows Eddie. Played with Big Ed and the Del Reys, played with Thunder Road, played with Gold Rush Band. Who the heck else? Tons of guys. Wonderful guitar player. Last year, we tried to feature a big band to open the show, again in homage to Ray and his 30s and 40s style of music. And this big band was, believe it or not, an all-female big band.
Really?
It was very cool.
They're amazing.
They were great, just fantastic.
Real talented people.
Very, very talented. That's a picture of Mike Beller in the yellow shirt and Jeff Keithline in the orange shirt. Those are our T-shirts, by the way. Those will be for sale
On the night of the jam.
on the day of the jam. Yeah.
So bring
on the day of the
some
jam.
extra money for a T-shirt.
This is a guy by the name of Jimmy Harkins. He lives out in the Stores area right now. Another great guitar player. Plays in does a bunch of restaurants in the area and bands. Teacher also. He taught at Bellers for years and years and years. So if you can see from the previous picture
Yeah.
with Jim playing acoustic guitar, whatever instrument. If you play acoustic guitar, you play electric guitar, you play if you play the clarinet, bring it along.
it down,
We'll
yeah.
get you in there. This picture is Rob Gottfried's. People might know Rob by the name of Rob the Drummer, a.k.a. Rob the Drummer. Rob does his Rob the Drummer show anywhere anyone will have him.
Wow.
And Rob, again, fantastic. He comes every year. He's very, very supportive, knew Ray very well. Rob plays with, Rob had done an album with jazz organist Larry Young, who's a big-time jazz player in the 50s, 60s, 70s. And also Rob was on Sesame Street. And Rob plays currently mostly with Jeff Pevar. Jeff Pevar is the guitar player for David Crosby.
Okay.
And all those guys. So Rob's a fantastic player. This is Liz Roberts, again, a great saxophone player. Liz played with that big band and also plays with Mass Confusion right now. So she plays any kind of music. Great player. This is Paul Molinari. Paul's going to donate his keyboards for the program for this year again. Another wonderful player. He also plays the saxophone. Very talented. Rob Rainwater, who was formerly with Thunder Road. If you notice, he's playing an upright bass in this picture. So, again, any instrument. Bring a kazoo. We don't care. This was, last year we had the reunion of a band called Silverado. Silverado, a Connecticut-based band, had 3 albums out, 2 on RCA and 1 on Columbia. And pretty big in the 80s, bunch of regional hits. Sure. And this was a reunion of the band put together. Carl Schillo on the left, there's Jeff, Keith Lyon in the orange, myself in the yellow, and Carl's son Alex on the right that played guitar. So a reunion we hadn't played together in 28 years, I think.
Really?
And we reunioned for that show, and now we're back together playing.
See?
Yeah.
It's amazing the the friendships and the groups that get together over, and it's all around that one music store. It all came from that one spot.
I can't describe the warm feeling. It's fantastic. You see people. It's wonderful to see these people.
That's got to be fantastic. So the jam now, obviously you have. I see here on the list, you have groups like the Quiet Ones, Silverado, Ghost Dance, Marvelous Marbles.
Well, these are former members of. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying these are some names that people would recognize.
If they're from Manchester, sure, and of a certain age, of course. But these are the bands that are kind of the nucleus of this program right now, of this All-Star Jam. But we're very much encouraging a newer generation to come along. We would like this thing to stay for as long as possible. So we're encouraging, and there has been quite a number of newer bands that came in. So we want to, anybody.
Anybody.
Sure. But this is kind of the nucleus of it. This is where it started. Back in the 60s when Bellers was first starting out, when the Beatles came out, everybody bought a guitar, everybody bought a drum set, everybody started a band.
Right.
And Manchester in particular, and this whole central Connecticut area was so ripe for original music. It was a wonderful place to grow up. I think the 60s were just a wonderful time to grow up anyway.
Sure.
But particularly musically, but this central Connecticut area, the clubs were flourishing. You could play 6 nights a week. You could make a living playing music back then, which we did. Art and I both did. And it was unbelievable.
It's true. Even up until when I was in high school, there was still live music. There was 6 or 7 different clubs in Hartford that had live music every weekend.
That's right.
There was the 880 if you wanted jazz, and Russian Lady always had band. There was always bands, and you could go all over town and listen. I don't see that as much.
It's died down quite a bit. But like you're saying, years ago we could play 6 nights a week very easily. You had the hotels, and you had the Dial Tone lounges, and you had all these places. House of Zodiac was around then, tons of places.
Right.
So you got to know quite a few of the traveling musicians. That's what people did. It was easy to do that back then.
And you met all these people that were talking about intertwining and doing the same thing.
Right. Well, that's the other thing too. As musicians, you'd say, "Hey, I need a drummer tonight," or "Hey, I need someone. I need a guitar player. We're doing something at this restaurant." So you probably played with so many different people.
We did, yeah.
It wasn't the same group playing all the time.
Well, that's why it's easy. It's really just one band with a bunch of different names.
Yeah.
It's all the same guys.
There's about a dozen guys or so, right?
There's a lot of truth to that.
22 different bands, but it's the same 12 guys. Just mix them up differently.
Just about.
That's great.
It's amazing because there have been some regeneration of bands from this jam session that people got together again and reformed themselves.
Really?
Yeah. So it's nice to see the last couple of years it's evolved even more.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now the All-Star Jam itself, if I just want to go down and listen to the music, right? So I can go down there and just pay and get in.
Yeah, you come to the Hungry Tiger at the doors open at 12. Like I said, big band kicks off. Casting Jammers kick off at 12:30. The jam's going to start somewhere around 1:15 or so. You come in the door, it'll cost you $10 if you just want to hang out for the day. And there's a light buffet available for free, and the cash bar is available too. If you want to come in and jam, it'll cost you $20.
Okay.
Yep. Come early. That's the best thing. Because when you start to get 4 or 5 o'clock-ish, we got a backlog of people.
Right.
So it might be a little bit more difficult to get you on.
Right.
This year, by the way, we do have a special reunion band. We have members of and people from Manchester area and actually Central Connecticut. Remember, a band's called Electric Cowboy,
Right.
the Gold Rush Band, the Last Band, and Thunder Road. All members of those four bands are going to be performing as a special guest.
So now, if I get this right, you're going to start with this big band,
Yes.
and when they're done, you actually have people scheduled to go on already, right? So there's some bands ready to play.
We don't have them. We have bands scheduled, but we have a particular
I know.
band schedule.
Okay.
Pretty much first come, first serve.
First come, first serve as
Yep.
people come down.
Yep.
So if someone had a band or someone that wanted to play, is there a way to do they get a hold of you at a time or just show up early?
I would show up early.
Yeah.
There are though. By the way, if they want to, they can contact me online. I think Eddie's going to put up. By the way, I didn't say thank you to Ed Zambrello for setting up this whole thing.
I always say he's the heart of the operation.
He is.
Yeah. I'm just a pretty face, but he gets everything done. you know?
Wow. Wow.
And my face ain't that pretty,
Yeah.
But so there is an email address.
There's an email, yeah. And if you do that, I had a copy of it. Oh, here it is. If you email me, I will send you out the package of information.
Okay.
And also on there will be this form. On your attachments will be this form, which is the musician call-up form, and you can fill this out, make it out, and then bring it the day of the jam.
Okay.
And it'll help you. It'll
Make it a little easier.
easier getting in the door. Yep.
All right. What's your email address?
It's mchayden@cox.net.
That's easy. mchayden@cox.net.
Yeah.
All right. So that's if you want to get more information on the Ray Beller Scholarship or the All-Star Jam, or if you're interested in playing in the jam, you want more information, that's the email you want to go to, mchayden@cox.net.
Oh, great. There it is.
There it is, right there, right underneath me.
Wonderful. Right there.
Excellent. So now, let me see. Now you're on. Do you get a lot of Ray's former customers?
We see
A few of them come in now and
a
then.
big amount. Well, I'm still out doing some gigs once in a while, so
yeah?
we're running into these people all the time, and it's fun because we communicate with each other in a different way than we did years ago because we're doing what we love to do. So doing this for Ray as a scholarship type thing makes it very, very much worthwhile to do.
The scholarship. Let's talk about that just for a second.
Sure.
Now you've given out how many so far?
This will be our fourth.
Fourth.
Yeah.
And who gets the scholarship? What do you is it obviously someone involved in music?
Yes, that's the conditions that we put on it. We want it to be someone that's going to study music on the secondary level,
Okay.
and someone doesn't have to be music education. It could be music
Sure.
performance or just anything involving music at all. And they can apply for the scholarship through the Manchester Scholarship Foundation. That's at 20 Hartford Road in Manchester. That's a huge all-volunteer foundation that I think they give out, I would say, 100 scholarships every year.
Wow.
So we're just one of many.
Okay.
We hand them the money, and they set the criteria, and it's merit-based and it's need-based.
Okay.
So we don't have anything. Our
Sure.
committee has nothing to do with that. We
Right.
just give them the money.
You raise the money, but they actually do all the handling.
Yeah,
of
absolutely. I
that.
mean, that's what they do.
What they do, right.
They're best at that.
It's a real deal.
It's a
the
real
deal.
deal.
It is a real deal. Yeah,
The Manchester Scholarship Foundation
absolutely.
in Manchester.
Yes.
Okay, so people remember that. So if you're interested in, okay, what does that mean?
He's got. I think we had a CD of some of the big
Oh,
band
okay.
music they were going to play. That's it. And while he's queuing that up, I just wanted to mention, some of the other people that have been coming to the jam, like we mentioned, Robbie Gottfried earlier, Rob the drummer. Another guy that shows up every year is a guy by the name of Dave Stoltz,
Okay.
local bass player who played with Dickie Betts band. Dickie Betts from the All-Star, from the Allman Brothers.
Right.
So.
So there's some real musicians.
They're great
This is,
players.
Some great
yeah,
people. Some great people.
yeah.
Great players. Yeah, this is not your average run-of-the-mill
Okay.
hack-away
great.
jam. These are good players.
And it's all benefiting a good cause. I mean, someone's going to benefit from the scholarship.
Absolutely, sure.
And obviously with the price of education nowadays, getting every year going up and up and up.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps.
Yep.
So it's nice to see. All right, so we have some music. Who's playing now? What is this?
This is the big band that's going to be appearing at the Beller's Jam. They'll start
Cats and Jammers.
Cats and Jammers big band, 15-piece big band doing all original charts from the 30s and 40s. The Miller, the Basie, all those original. The book that we have is all the original music. This is brief recordings of some of those great chestnuts.
How many people would you say are in this band?
15?
15.
15 or 16?
Great. This is my music.
I love that. Big band stuff.
I had my first album that I bought there. I found that I was going to bring it along, and then I forgot. But #1 and the date it was bought, and
Oh, yeah?
yeah.
And what was your first album?
First was Red Prysock, and it was called rock and roll, believe it or not. And that was a new word back in that day. This is in 56 or 57, I think that album was dated.
Wow.
And it was double tenor sax type of band, almost like a Tower Power type band back in the day without vocals. It was just strictly instrumental stuff.
Instrumental.
Yeah, so my band was patterned after that Red Prysock from my first album experience in those days with 2 horns, Hammond B3, 2 guitars, bass, and drums. So
That's fantastic. I remember Tower Power, too.
Yeah, they're still
Great
around.
band.
still around.
Are they?
Yeah,
31 years, I believe, 32, 33.
I'm still around, too. So. Thanks a lot. But it sounds like a great night, I tell you, for someone who loves music, to go down and just for the $10 to go in and listen would be fantastic.
Well, they're going to get a show, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
They're great players, and by the way, it's all ages too. Someone had just sent me an email recently, because if they're under 21, yes, you can come. You should be accompanied by an adult,
Right.
Either your parent or guardian.
Right.
But you can come in and play.
All right.
Certainly, you're eligible to play. So of course, we'd love to have you.
We had one of my students last year show up, and I'm not sure of his name, that brought his band along, and they were doing all the Beatles.
Yeah.
Oh,
stuff.
really?
They're phenomenal. They're
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Young
So
kids.
reminiscent of my day, and here's a band that, and
Right.
one of my students emulating, going back to the day. And the guys were actually great performers, and I hope they're back again this year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So again, you don't have to be someone who is associated with Ray Beller necessarily. Just a musician who wants to come down and play.
Right, and we're finding, friends of friends of friends is what we're
Right.
finding now, and we certainly want to encourage that. We want to branch this out as far as we can.
Come down and let it rub off. That,
Yeah.
And if it works, great, all well and good. Good encouragement.
And it's not just a rock thing. It's not just a jazz thing. It's not just a blues thing. It
Right.
could be
A
anything.
little bit of everything.
Continuous music too. There's no
Right.
big
It
breaks.
doesn't stop.
Hanging out. Nope. It'll go.
So you're going to get 6
on
hours
and
of
on and
music,
on.
5.5 hours
Pretty
of music.
close, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny with musicians. I'm not a musician. Someone I work with plays the banjo, and he just went to a big bluegrass festival.
Yeah.
And there was one hotel that was kind of reserved for that festival, and all the musicians stayed there. And it was all night long. They would meet in the hallway, and there was meeting spots.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of thing. You kind of go for a second. Next thing another guy. Next thing you know, they're all playing.
That's really that's really a bluegrass thing.
Yes.
That's what they do. Yeah. Gordy Patterson and I, Gordy from this committee, and I were on the committee for the Podunk Bluegrass Festival in East Hartford. In fact, I was on the Fine Arts Commission in East Hartford and was one of the founders of that festival as well. And Gordy and I did that, and the demographics for bluegrass for this area just fit East
yeah.
Hartford to a T. It was wonderful. And I didn't know much about it, and then the first couple that we had, to see all these little jam sessions going on, these little 4 or 5
Yeah.
people standing over into a corner, and it went, like you said, all night long.
right. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Well, that's why there's an event we would film every year, a comedy music event. And there's a band that plays in it, the Big Stabby Trio. They only meet once a year. These are guys that have been playing forever.
Yeah.
And once a year they meet, and the music, we always said, maybe they are not perfect timing and everything, but it's real. I mean, the music is just fantastic because
Yeah.
these guys are playing because they love it. you know, and they play every year together, and it's a lot of fun to watch them play. And I'm
Right.
sure that's what this is going to be like. You get guys that haven't seen each other in a long time and just so excited to play.
The smiles are a mile wide.
That's a reunion.
Yeah,
It is.
it is. It's right. It's high school and college reunions all wrapped into one kind of thing.
Well,
fantastic.
friends that I met there in the 50s, we're still best of friends today.
Really?
So it's great to get back together again and do
That's
this
great.
for just the meeting purposes and to be able
That's
to
right.
play together.
And in the end, some kid's going to benefit by being able to go to school,
Yep.
help them out going to school.
By the way, the scholarship is for a Manchester student.
Okay.
That's one of the criteria for this for the
Sure.
foundation. But it could be East Catholic, it could be Cheney Tech, could be
Right.
Manchester High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a Manchester student who's going on to secondary education in music.
Yes. The winner from last year, Mitch Mangan, is going to come and play with the big band this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
just
he's
talked to
going to
Mitch.
school?
He's going to WestCon and studying music education.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We should go over the particulars one more time. This is Sunday, April 13th.
Yep.
Right? It's at the Hungry Tiger on Charter Oak Street in Manchester.
Right.
And Charter Oak Street is right in the center of town.
It's,
Right off of 384.
It's on the south end of
South
town.
side?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And it's $10 if you just want to listen, $20 if you want to play.
Right.
And there'll be T-shirts for sale,
Yes.
light buffet, cash bar.
Yep.
All right. And it's
Can I show the logo one more time?
you can show. You can do whatever you want. This is your show.
Is it?
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
paying $100 an hour. You do whatever you want.
Dankeschön.
You can't sing Donkershane. I forgot to say you can do anything you want, but you cannot sing Donkershane.
Which camera? That one?
That one there.
This was designed by a girl by the name of Annie Carter, another Beller hanger-oner, and now a graphic artist, and she did this for us last year. And this is last year's T-shirt. We'll have these for sale this year along with the new version. So we have
Okay.
2007, 2008. Yeah,
So you
the
can,
collector's
you
edition.
can get the collector's edition.
That's right.
2007.
You get the collector's edition.
I got the collector's
This is
edition.
special, yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell it on eBay. And
We tried. No.
that's why I got it, because
Yeah,
it didn't
that's
sell on eBay. That's fantastic. And then they can buy the T-shirt. And I'm sure that once people do this, they probably want to do it every year. I mean, it becomes like a catchy thing. You know,
That's
like,
how
wow.
that's how it's been.
Yeah.
People are contacting us now. Call me in January saying when's the jam going to be?
That's great. So anything else you want to mention before we finish up? Any other?
Just one thing about
Yeah,
Art.
yeah, go
I've known Art probably I don't know so many years, whatever those years were.
I'm sorry,
But
your mic must have been out.
yeah, when I first started thinking about doing this, I called Mike Bell and I said, "What do you think about doing this?" He said, "Yeah, let's put it together." And I called Jeff Keithline, and I said, "Well, we need to get some equipment." So I thought, "Well, we need drums because being a drummer, I knew darn well I didn't want to.
You don't want to
lug
carry
my
your
stuff
drums
down
out and
there.
set them
You
up.
know,
Absolutely.
Exactly right.
Oh,
so
thanks.
how else can we get some?
So I said, I know a guy
Go
who
see Art.
go see Art. Yeah, he's
Art,
got
Art
no
will lug
problem.
him. Yeah.
No,
Matter of fact, last year I was sick and I stayed
That's-
at 10 o'clock in the morning till about 9 o'clock at night.
that's right. He did.
And I wasn't going to leave my drums there.
The first year, the first year, I think he played most of the day.
I played half a day. We had different people showing up, and now we got more drummers, and I didn't get a big chance to play last
That's
year.
about
but,
it.
Well, we got everybody up that can possibly
Anybody
get
that
up
wants to
there
play,
and,
get up there
and
and
play with each other and play
Yeah.
with new people and,
Right.
and enjoy. Have
But
some fun.
you never know what kind of response you're going to get when you're going to ask someone to volunteer their time
Sure.
or their stuff or whatever, or money or whatever that is.
Yep.
And I honestly, God, I went to Art and I said, "Art, I'm going to do this thing for Ray Beller." I said, first thing, when, what time, what can I do?
That's right.
He was one of the first ones right on board, and just without question, he was right there. And he supported us all the years. So we're
great.
quite grateful for that.
And this year, boy, when I send you the bill, it'll be
Well, this year, what you don't know is he's actually getting your drums without you knowing, and he's setting them up there.
That's right.
But well, that the way you've got it set up is fantastic. Now, like you said, you would have to drag your drums up there.
Yeah, you'd have to bring
Or for
it.
someone to bring their keyboards and set them up,
Yeah.
it just wouldn't work.
It'll
You
make
couldn't
it
do
comfortable
that.
for the changeover and for people to be able to sit down.
That's right.
I'm kind of the official roadie too for all the drummers that might come and want to be able to adjust this.
Oh, okay. So yeah, everyone plays a little
and
bit
make it
differently.
comfortable
Yep.
for them. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. And Mike Beller, of course, who ran Bellers for a number of years, he's really good with the amps and with the guitars and
Right.
that kind of stuff. Getting people
setup.
up and on and off stage. We have people that Jeff
Sure.
Keithline runs the stage and gets people up and off. Real
You got to
quick.
mic their instruments. You got to do all that.
That's
you know,
right.
and
Yeah,
get
Mike
everything
and
ready.
Ray do that quite well. Mike and Jeff rather.
Yeah.
There's some people working real hard to make it all happen
Yeah.
and to make it smooth.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. People come up to play. They don't realize someone was there early in the morning running the wires and setting up those amps,
Yeah.
and setting up the the guitar, the drums and the keyboards and
Well,
everything.
plus we started this, for this year. We started this about a month and a half ago. So we'd meet a couple of times and send all the emails out and get all the paperwork together and contact everyone. And
A lot of work.
so it takes.
Yes,
yeah,
it is. Yeah.
yeah.
And of course, without you've got someone at the Hungry Tiger. Without them, I'm sure that
They've been great to us. But that's one of the premier blues clubs in the whole area. And Don Denley's a local guy and knew Ray quite well and a local merchant, and was again one of the first guys that said, "Sure, of course, let's do this."
I think one of the nice things about it too is the fact that not only is the scholarship an important part of the whole thing, but the fact that musicians that get up to play at this gig with other people that they've never worked with before have actually gotten gigs by meeting these people and go on to bigger and better things.
Yep.
it's a kind of
So
a
it's an
networking
association
event.
of networking
Oh,
that
absolutely.
it's much more important to gel those things together, and then somebody continues on not only with a scholarship in a music education type of thing, but meeting people, coming back to play with other people again, going off and starting their own thing from a nucleus of people that they met here, from a bunch of real talented people. It was amazing last year. We had so many good people there, the music never stopped.
Well, see, that's the thing. We talked about, 20, 30 years ago, there were so many places for musicians to play, you couldn't help but run into each other.
You did,
Right? And now, with so few places,
We don't
that
see
doesn't
each other.
happen as much anymore.
Right, that's exactly right.
You get into a band and you may play here on the weekend and that's it, and you're not you're not having that same networking.
Right.
So
And
this
if
is a
you're
great time to
careful,
do
if you
that.
walk around the Hungry Tiger and you walk by groups of people, musicians that are having conversations, you're going to hear some stories. they're phenomenal.
So Ed, we have to
Great
bring
stories.
our little microphone out to the Hungry Tiger and tape some of these.
Lights, camera,
Those
action.
stories like musician stories.
Yeah.
A lot of good ones, though. A lot of good
Some
ones.
are
Yeah.
even true.
No regrets.
Some are legal too.
Well, this is great. I'm going to try and go myself. I don't play anything.
You will.
I will.
Yeah.
We'll get you up. We'll get you up playing drums.
I could probably do one.
Yeah. Well, maybe not drums. Yeah. Maybe guitar. Like more of a bass player, I think.
You think?
Yeah. If you can do that, yeah, it's a bass
If
player.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Air guitar.
Yeah. Oh, I'm good.
The cowbell.
I can do the cowbell. Do you have a cowbell? Are you going to bring one?
course.
I'll have
Yeah.
a spare for you.
There we go.
I can play the cowbell. I can do that. That's
You can
about
do
it.
Omi Como Va with the Santana thing.
There we go.
If you can count to 4, you can play that song.
Oh
That's it.
man, I can only count to 3. Find me a song that can count to 3, I can do it.
That's how I became a music major in college. I could count to 4. So they said, "Great, you're in."
You failed out of everything else, and they said, "I'll tell you what, you can count to 4. You're a music major." This is great stuff. I mean, it just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun that
It
night.
is fun,
It
yeah.
really is. I know Ed said he went last year and had a great time.
Yeah.
And
Brought the family.
Brought the whole family.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Excellent. And I think I may try and come myself this year because I have a T-shirt now.
Yep.
So when I walk in, people will think I'm a musician and like I'm part of the crowd.
So if you want to bring the kids too, if you want to bring the kids and
Yeah.
have them come see some great music, they're more than welcome to come by.
That's great. And do I have to bring my wife? No, I'm sorry.
Yes, you
Of
do.
course.
No, she doesn't watch the show, so she won't hear that.
She doesn't watch?
No.
No?
No.
We'll fix that in editing.
You guys don't get cable?
No, she says I see you all
Pretty
day.
soon you will have
The
to
last
get
thing I want to do, she says, turn on TV and see you again. I got to hear you all day. But anyway, we won't talk about
Nice
that
thing is she
anymore.
can just turn you off too. She just go click like this.
Yeah,
you
she
know?
does. She turns me on just for a second, so she can say, look, I'm turning you off. All right, well, this sounds great. April 13th, 12 to 6. I think for anybody out there, I'm sure someone watching is going to say, I remember Beller's music store.
Oh, yeah.
Many
many people.
And they're going to say, I'm going to go to this thing just because I remember Ray Beller and Ray Beller's music store. And that's the other thing, there weren't as many music stores when you go back, 20, 30
That's
years.
true too. Ray's is more like a regional store.
Right.
When you think about it.
Right, because you've only had so many stores. So, a lot of people are going to remember this, that maybe they weren't from Manchester, but they went to Ray's anyway because it was such a great.
Well, you hit like Burnside Music. I remember them, and you'd hit. I think maybe Turcotte's maybe in Hartford, and then you'd come into Manchester. You'd hit. If you're a musician, that's what you did on a Saturday. You went to all the music stores.
Yeah.
But you'd have to drive from Hartford to West Hartford to you drive all around and hang out.
And see what did they get a new guitar in? Did they get a new
Exactly.
something? See what.
Exactly right. And who's hanging here?
Yeah, that's great. Well, again, I can't say that sounds like a great event. I urge everyone who's interested in music, I'm on camera, who's interested in music, or maybe interested in playing some music with a bunch of great musicians. This is the place to be. April 13th, Sunday, noon to 6. And that email address again is up there, mchayden@cox.net. For those of you who maybe want some more information. Or I noticed too, if someone just wants to donate to the scholarship fund,
Yep.
they can do that too.
They can. If they just send me their email, I can send them out a form.
A form?
To do that, sure.
Yeah.
If you can't make it on that day, we'd love to. Obviously, we're trying to collect as much as we can.
Right.
So
If you want to just maybe if you can't make it, you can contact Mike at that email address to make a donation to the fund.
and by the time this airs, I believe that we'll have our nonprofit status too.
Okay.
So it'll be
tax
tax
deductible.
deductible at that point. Sure.
Okay. Well, that's even better.
Yeah.
And it's the Manchester Scholarship Foundation. If you know someone from Manchester who plans on continuing in secondary education in music, it's the Manchester Scholarship Foundation is what it's called.
People can apply for that now.
Right.
If you're from Manchester, you can go to them and apply. And like I was saying earlier, they have probably 100 scholarships that you can apply for, and
Sure.
ours being just one of them.
Right.
So now's the time to do that.
That's excellent. Anything else you'd like to say before we?
Just thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I had a good time.
No problem.
It's fun.
I had a lot of fun too. I feel like I'm part of the band now.
See?
No,
We made it happen again.
Nah, I'm sorry.
Cowbell.
I tried. It's the story of my life. I never quite fit in.
More cowbell.
Too much bass.
Too much bass. Well, Mike, thank you. Art, thank you for
Thank
coming
you, Rick.
down here.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this, and I hope you have. I'm sure you'll have a great turnout.
And thanks, Eddie.
Hopefully, you'll get a few more. Ed, as always, you did a fantastic job. And everyone watching, again, this wasn't live. We will be live again. As I always say, we don't know when. So you got to check back every Friday night. And one of those nights we will be live, and we'll be talking about something exciting, as we always do. If not exciting, we'll be talking about something. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. What do you want me to do? Ed, do you have a question?
Cut it short?
Oh, I thought we were done. I'm sorry, I saw 7:30. We didn't start at 6:30?
No, we didn't. We got 18 minutes left.
Did you bring your instrument?
Here
He goes with that for saying it. You know any
I
three?
mean, we could talk about.
Do you know any three-part harmonies?
They probably do.
Yeah, except I don't know the third part.
But we've never cut a show short before. We've always gone over.
Well, you know, leave it to Ed. Leave it to Ed to do this to me.
Well, we could stop it now. That's
Have no
fine.
red lights on the camera, so
You know.
we didn't know we were on.
We couldn't afford that.
Do you have really 18 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's,
That's a long
yeah.
time.
So, I mean, we could stop now, or we could go on.
Well, you want just briefly? Art, just this will fill
Here we go.
at least an hour. No. Art Benson played with Gene Pitney back in the 60s. 50s even, 60s, 50s.
yeah.
50s is
Rock and
one of the
Down
first.
without pity, right?
58.
Yes,
Man Who
58.
Shot Liberty Valance.
Really?
So
And he just recently did a, what was the PBS thing you just did?
when Gene died unexpectedly,
Just
a few years ago, a year and a half ago, we did a PBS special with Roger Catlin, and it was kind of a sad day for me because a lot of reminiscing. Some of the early days, I go back with Gene as far as 1958. And that was all part of Beller's scenario also, because Gene used to come to Manchester to take guitar lessons.
Really?
When he drove past DeBaldo Music, which is still in the same location across from Vic's Pizza on Middle Turnpike in Manchester, and saw a guitar in the window and started taking lessons there. So Gene was a Manchester
Right.
associate also.
He's a Manchester
And
commuter.
I hooked up with Gene back in the day when my band, the Trebles, in those days, 1961, and we had done some things with Gene with the Rockorama shows where we were the backup band. And they put us on with the artists that used to do a lip sync back in those days. You'd play to your song by lip syncing. And then
Sure.
our band would do live situations with them. And my band, the Trebles, back in those days, won the Battle of the Bands against the Downbeats, which was a very, very prominent
Sure.
band in the Hartford area in 1961. And we got together with Gene on a regular basis after that, and traveled around quite a bit doing this Rockorama stage show thing that
That's great.
I got rich and famous for.
And here you are on public access. All right.
And what it was Gene got his contract with Decca Records, and it was bye-bye band, and God bless him, because we knew in those days he was going to be
Sure.
a famous artist. He was he generated that kind of situation with everybody around him. He was very, very professional, very young and very early on. So it was an honor to be called up and say, all right, we want you to do this
PBS special.
situation with this PBS special, and it was all associated with Ray Beller, because
all goes back
without
to Ray
that
Beller.
association, we
Sure.
would have probably never got that band together, probably would have never got that situation to be able to play. And I don't know if Ray even really sponsored us in the day, but it was a matter of he was always there for you as a musician. He always educated you and pushed you and gave you a little shove to go farther and farther with it. And it wasn't a money deal with Ray. It was a real personal thing.
If you needed an amp on a night, you didn't have an amp and you had a gig, you call up Ray, hey Ray, can I borrow something? Can I borrow this or that? I don't really have the money. Catch me.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
See?
He was just that kind of guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those are the things you don't see anymore.
What's
He's going to put that sign up now every minute. And now there's only 12 minutes left, 11 minutes left.
10, 9,
how many
8,
syllables?
7, 6.
But again, we go back to that old, mom and pop type thing.
Yep.
You think of in the Blues Brothers movie with Ray Charles, in the music store, being the nucleus of that neighborhood
Yeah.
there. Everybody went to, to the music store, and that's the same thing.
My first band, a band called the Rogues from Manchester. I was 16, and we did a record in 1967. I think we were one of the first local bands to do records. It was on a small label called Boss City Records out of Hartford. Boss City Records did. They had artists, the Moments, that did Love on a Two-Way Street. They did. Who else did he have? He had a bunch of different people. He had a group called the American Revolution, which turned out to be the guys from Fountainhead and Little Village and all those guys. So he had tons of guys in that label. But in any event, we did the record down in New London and brought it back to town, and we asked Ray to put it in the store. And he said, of course. So he put it right up there next to everyone else. And how cool that was to go in there
and see your record
see your 45 sitting there.
That was before payola.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Ray didn't mind. It was
that's
great.
right. Well, he could, before you could get sued, maybe for putting the wrong record up there or not having the right contract written.
Yeah.
So did you sell any?
Yeah, we sold a few.
And people don't remember, the young generation doesn't remember what we used to do. And I'm talking 78s. The kids don't know what 78s are today.
Exactly.
And
They don't know what records are.
You would put the
exactly.
78s on a turntable, and he would have these little booths where you'd go in and put your record on and listen to the record that you would buy.
Make sure it didn't skip.
Right.
Yeah, you had these little.
You could play both sides. You could play the whole situation with albums. You could play 45s.
Right.
And in the day we used to stack 45s on a record turntable.
Sure.
And they would drop
would
and
drop,
stack
yeah.
far enough where they would slip so much you had to take them all off and then put just one on. And one little speaker, that was your stereo
Yes.
in those days. And
Every once in a while you get. So, Mike, you're going to buy that thing or what?
You're sitting in that
just
booth
listen to all the
listening
records.
to the music.
Yeah, exactly.
And they weren't scratched until you guys got done playing them 42 times.
if you hung around there as much as I did and played as many records as I did, you got that a little bit from him. But he was always generous with that. I don't know anybody who did that. I mean, other stores started it after that. Sam Goody's and some of the places that came to the Hartford Civic Center when it first
Sure.
opened up would let you play the records. And
Oh, yeah.
I used to do installs of 8 tracks for Ray. When I was working for an automotive
8-track.
company at the time, and I lived in Ray's neighborhood.
You think records are obscure? 8-tracks are
8-tracks.
Those are really.
Sure.
Those are a concept, huh? Quite the quality product.
And I used to do installs for Ray and put the speakers in the door and
sure.
put the thing in the dash or under the dash or do
Right.
whatever you wanted to do at my parents' house, which is right around the corner from Ray's house. So we were all family.
Right.
And it was a big deal to hang around down there, and the people again that had met there and grew over the years together.
The other thing it makes me think about, when you were 16 and you wanted to cut an album, make an album, you had to go into Hartford because obviously to put an album together, to have the equipment to actually put the music onto vinyl.
Oh, yeah. Had to go to the
you
big
couldn't
city.
do that.
No.
Right. You had to go to the big city.
That's right. Yeah.
Nowadays, any kid can burn his own CD on a computer.
Well, I have equipment.
So they don't understand. what it took to be 16 and say, I want to make an album.
I have equipment in my basement right now, as we speak, that has greater capacity than it took to record Sgt. Pepper.
Right.
So Sgt. Pepper was done on a 4-track. I have literally an 8-track in my basement.
Yep.
So that's where technology has come.
Well, you know, we bought a computer here for the TV station, a Macintosh, for video editing, and it comes with something called GarageBand.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, this comes with the computer, free, but it comes with the computer.
Yep.
And you know, you can load these tracks in, and you can mix them together, and you know, all of a sudden anybody can do, and then burn the CD right there on the computer.
That's
you're
right.
done.
Yeah.
You know, but again, when you were 16, you had to go. Okay, we got to go to Hartford. You got to pay for this. They're not going to do it for free.
Right.
You know. And
Al Soika's studio was up in Somers, Connecticut, where Gene and I used to do a lot of recording, and got together with a lot of DJs and met other people and other musicians that used to put ourselves together in a musical situation to record up there. So Al Soika's was one of the original farmland studios, which was pretty famous.
It's hard to compare the talent. I think that it's just like with baseball players, trying to compare a baseball player of today from somebody from 50 years ago. So, but the technology, as we've just alluded to, is quite different. But I did a cable access show also years ago, and I had Ray Beller on my TV show. And when Ray was describing his recording experiences, and back then in the 30s and the 40s, and also in the Beatles days too, up till into the early 60s, they would put a microphone in the middle of the studio, and 4 guys would stand around it, and they would sing.
Right.
Nowadays, you can sing a note, and then you can change the note up and down with a computer, or you can sing one note, and then you can duplicate that note with a computer. You know, is the talent better or worse? I just think, I mean, technology just made it so everything can sound
Well, I
fantastic.
think there's people today who are as talented as there were then, but I think the difference is there are now people who aren't as talented who are making millions of dollars because of the technology.
I think that's a good way to put it.
You know,
Sure.
so yeah, there are people I'm sure that are as talented or better or whatever you can say. But then there are people. Well, you look at the Disney Corporation or so on, who are creating a new pop star every day, right? Every day there's a new pop star, and they're making millions of dollars, whether they're talented or not.
Yep.
Right?
But when you have 4 guys standing around a microphone and singing perfect harmony,
Right.
that's talent.
Well, that's the other thing too. Now, if you have 4 singers singing, they're going to sing into 4 separate microphones and be recorded on 4 separate tracks.
At 4
and
separate
they're going to put
times.
them together later.
And sometimes in 4 separate locations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tom Coster, dear friend of mine, who was keyboard player with Santana years ago, and lives on the West Coast, hired Dennis Chambers to do a bunch of tracks, who is now the drummer with Santana, and has been for about the past 4 years or so. And he would do all the tracks on the West Coast, send Dennis the tracks that he had done, and Dennis would do just the drum parts, and then send them back to Tom in California, and they would remix them, and out comes the album.
See?
Now, when I got all the albums from Tom and Dennis personally, and Dennis Chambers is one of my favorite guys and one of the most sought-after drummers in the world today, and digging these albums and digging the songs and so forth, and then learning afterwards that all of these albums were done in separate parts of the country and mixed together, and the guys literally never, ever played live together.
That's something.
So, and this was a while ago too. So this, I mean, that's not a new form of recording, but it is a very intricate part of it, where the people are so good that they can play like that and then mix it together. And you thought these guys have been playing together for years and years and years and years, and they never worked together in their life.
Well, we have drum machines now.
Yeah.
We have one-touch keyboards now.
Right.
It's just phenomenal. I think one of the good things is brought people into music.
Right.
You know, that might be a little bit intimidated or not think that they're talented or didn't think they could create or whatever. So it's a wonderful way to create. So, but
See?
who knows?
So the technology, but again, I think, well, you know, the other thing too, without the venues for live music like there used to be, you don't see as much live music, so you don't get to see that. You know, everything is on an album, everything's on a CD. You know, you hear it on the computer. Everybody's got iPods, you know, and all that.
And that's where you cut your teeth. You know, when you went into, you had to get yourself an act. Excuse me. You had to put together your band. You had to rehearse the band if you wanted to go and work and make a living.
Right.
So that's how you did. But you could make a living. You could do that.
Right. It's just unfortunate. That's one thing I think that's unfortunate, is that there's not that opportunity. I mean, there's still a lot of live music out there, but it's not as like it used to be.
Right.
You know, Hartford alone had jazz clubs all over. You know, and now I don't know if there's any left in Hartford.
There's a few, a few places. In fact, I think the Hungry Tiger does a jazz jam on
Sunday nights.
On Sunday nights.
Open jam where people can come in and sit in
Yep.
Oh, yeah?
after the first set, and turns over a lot of real talented musicians.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great.
Don does a great job. He's got, of course, he brings national blues acts in there as well. He's pretty well known in the area for bringing some pretty good people.
Well, they've changed their venue a little bit now to a point where they're doing all types of music, not necessarily just blues.
Right.
And I always say, I don't have the blues, I'm feeling pretty good. So, I mean, to be able to play the kind of music you want, but
Right.
he has changed his situation where it's jazz, it's rock, it's blues, it's a lot of different talent coming through there, not just necessarily just the blues.
Excellent. Well, we got the 3-minute time to recap sign. Okay.
That means I show the shirt again. And
That means you show the shirt, and we talk about all those boring details.
Yes.
I'm going to wear my Art the Drummer shirt today.
You
but
should
I
have,
didn't do
yes.
it, no.
This
Go ahead, show
camera,
you
right?
that camera right
This
there.
camera, Eddie?
Yeah. The wrong camera.
Oh, there we
That's
go.
the camera.
Yeah. Again, this
Get it right.
this logo was designed by Ann Carter, and it's the logo for the Ray Beller All-Star Jam, and which is taking place on April 13th. This April 13th
You
from
can almost
12
play
to
that
6.
saxophone.
You
Looks so
could.
good.
Oh, it looks
It does,
great.
it does.
This is the 2007 edition. This is the collector's edition. There will be a 2008 edition for sale.
That's fantastic.
We don't have any
April-
left over either. They're all gone last year.
No, we have some. We have some left.
Did I get one?
Here we go.
No.
Give me
no.
that before you Okay. So, April 13th.
Well, Mary Beth isn't here. We can.
Yeah, exactly. You can't take Mary Beth's.
Watch that first.
From 12 to 6 at the Hungry Tiger on 120 Charter Oak Street in Manchester. If you don't know where that is, because of technology, you can Google it.
Yeah, oh, Lord.
Yes, you
Right?
can.
If you could just go
GPS it.
exactly GPS at
yeah.
120 Charter Oak Street in Manchester, and that's Sunday, April 13th, 12 to 6. If you're interested in playing, it's $20. If you just want to listen, it's $10. mchayden@cox.net is where you email for more information. Cats and Jammers Big Band is the highlight band, if you will,
Yep.
the first band.
Well, we're the opening band, but
The
the
opening
highlight
band.
band is going to be the last band, Thunder Road, Electric Cowboy, Gold Rush Band. Those are the highlight bands.
Absolutely. Well, every band's a highlight band. that
Yes,
night.
they are.
Every band is a highlight band.
Yeah.
And drums, amps, keyboards are all there.
All
Just
provided.
show up and have a great time.
Right.
Well, I'm going to do it again. We did this once about 18 minutes ago. I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Joe.
This is
Thanks
not
for
a
having us
repeat.
again.
All right.
What a
And,
pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll see you, like I always say, we'll see you whenever we do. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Thank you.